Yet again to another session here at the Gosu Academy. As a B player on Ancient, you will want to use your utility at the start of the round to block the B rush. That is the easiest thing for the Ts to do. Some players will just do like a slow walk step. Not like that. I've seen people as well, you know, they just come here and they try to land it here or bounce it off this. What I see most people do is people run to the left side and aim at a certain place, and you get a pretty consistent way of throwing the Molotov while running to the left. It's almost not that important when the Molotov lands, it just needs to land early enough that the Ts are feeling blocked by it. As B player, it's become extremely meta to play left side, where probably, when I talked about it last time, people were playing, you know, a lot around pillar and also playing like cubby, and then sometimes playing long or sometimes playing short. If you want to like fully heavy block a B rush, you would do the Molotov and then you would either come short or long, whatever, and you will nade inside the Molotov. The reason for this is so that if Ts decide to turn off the Molotov, they are going to take a lot of damage from the nade. The smoke is potentially going to blow open, and also the Ts are going to be slowed down. So if you manage to kill the first and maybe the second player by doing this heavy block when they rush, you've pretty much won the round already. If you think it's going to be a B rush, you should definitely use a nade in the Molotov as well, in my opinion. And if you don't think it's a B rush, like if you have a good feeling they haven't B rushed at all, I've been Molotoving every round, you can sometimes choose to not use your Molotov and instead just, you know, run long. That way you have your Molotov for late instead. One of the good things about playing B long is that it's possible for you to do like info jumps. This is a really pretty safe way to get information. It's very hard as T to kill the jump spotting player like this, even with an AWP. So probably the best way would be going here or getting boosted up on the box and then peeking the jump. When you're playing right side, not only can you get spammed, and also it's difficult for you to get early information. This is kind of fixed by playing left side. Again, if you jump spot whatever, you can jump spot with smoke. It's almost like playing B on Mirage. And when you see someone, all you have to do is just do this kind of smoke. Now you have a smoke that lands pretty much perfectly here. You can obviously do the same thing with the Molotov. Another reason why playing left side is really nice is because it allows you actually to fight the T side if you want to. So you can jump spot, jump spot, jump spot, and you can even bounce a flash and peek with the flash. It makes it more easy for your cave player to come out and also have impact. Talking about the disadvantages, when you're playing left side, there is kind of only one place you can play. One of the best things I like to do when I'm playing T side is, you know, you can even jump in for yourself as T. If you see the CT jumping, this would be a good grenade, for example, so that the B player who jump spots, you get information on him, he gets information on you. None of you can really kill each other, but you can use a nade to damage. And you can obviously do this with multiple players, technically. You could have one person jump spotting and have people do a double nade here. Probably good to have a proper lineup. A problem of playing left side is that also isn't that many places you can go. Here and like anywhere here. You are somewhat predictable. Very recently as well, we saw Tai Lu do the triple boost here. The purpose of it is to kill the long player. Playing pillar, I talked about already, you can get spammed. Playing cubby as well is almost a better position for the cave player, because the cave player can go here and be kind of unexpected. If the Ts want to run down the long player thinking that the cave player is forward in cave, you know, they're opening their backs up to the player in cubby. This can be a crossfire. You can also play crossfire from inside cave like this. If you don't know, there is this position. If you're crouched here, I'll try to show you. I mean, you will get an angle on this rock. And the reason why this is kind of works as an off angle is because as T, when you come up, you peek this, maybe you're aware of long, whatever. And at some point, you're gonna turn to peek cubby. Then you open yourself to this, just get a feel for how the cave looks, like step to the side. And then just aim around here. This would be like a good flash to check cave. So if your cave player has lost control of cave, has moved out here, you can offer this flash to get them back into cave. As a B player, it can be really good to ask your cave player to push ramp with you if you have the feeling that the Ts are trying to end the round on mid and A. Like if you are feeling uncomfortable, or if you're feeling like you need information to win the round, walk pushing ramp can be really, really good. And since you're the one who has information on what's happening on ramp, how many times they've been peeking and stuff like this, it's worth it to be the one calling it. And then I guess just the last thing is like, when they come B, if you're playing info from long, whatever, be good at blocking with nades. Like, probably if you see them, you do the smoke, they're gonna run through it. Use the smoke and be ready to fight the first guy. If you kill that guy, maybe you can hold the smoke. So for the cave player, I don't actually know the perfect lineups. I'll show you where they're supposed to land, and I will give it a go. What is meta right now? Cave players Molotov here, and then they nade as well. The way cave players would kind of Molotov would be, I guess maybe the Molotov would be kind of the same, like a double click running jump throw. Oh, I did actually land it. As cave player, this nade is so important because A, it makes the T's not really want to take cave, because every time they try, they're just gonna get a nade in their face. It's gonna damage them like 40. But the more important part of it is actually that this nade slows down the T's. Timing of the cave player is really important, because if you're running cave with the nade, go and win this angle, or you can get into left side cave. If you don't have front spawn, and the T's have front spawn, without the nade you won't be able to do this. That was kind of what was meta before. Players now nade a little later, but they bounce it off like this, so that it lands lower, and also hits the timing better. But now people can do it basically in one motion. You just run, and you just do nade, and then you can like come here. If you know the T's didn't turn off the Molotov, there is no chance that they can be cave. For the T side now, we have adopted the brawler Molo, which is, you know, as you hit this door, you aim here and you jump throw. This one goes through the roof and lands in cave. And it lands on a timing where, as a cave player, you are forced to make the decision of, do I burn a little bit and run through it, or do I give it up? If the CT didn't turn off the Molotov, and they didn't burn, they basically cannot be inside cave. I'll show you a few things that I've seen cave players do. One of them is that, you know, they will still do the Molotov and the nade, but then as they're coming out here, they will bounce a flash like this. And the idea of this is that the timing when the T runs up cave, the flash will bounce and land right here. And the CT, even running through the brawler Molotov, will kind of be running here and will then get like immediate flash in the back and will fight the T. Why doesn't the T just dodge the flash? If the T disrespects the Molotov, turns it off and takes some nade damage, typically the nade makes it so the T loses sound for a little while. And so it can be really difficult for the T to hear the CT bounce this flash off the wall. Another thing is also just, you know, some people run through the brawler Molotov, play left side, but typically they are hurt and it doesn't end well. Another thing, you can go and just underhand click a smoke here. The brawler Molotov, if it burns, will be able to be like edged. Other than this, I realistically don't think there's that much to say about the, let's call it the modern cave player. Yeah, I think the cave player is overall spending less time out here. The only times you will really be spending a lot of time here is when you have people in heaven that are fighting with you. If people are going up ramp, let's say the B player is smoked, but the T's are still going up, like just flashing on this wall and going out either side is good, because it will blind the T's in a way where they can't really dodge it if they want to hold you. Moving over to the mid player, we can talk about what kind of utility is worth it to have in mid. So there are 5 spawns on CT Ancient. I will definitely recommend anyone who is serious about improving in Counter-Strike learn all 5 CT spawn lineups. Important piece of utility to know, this Molotov, where you run out here, you take like the step up and then always try to aim slightly above the corner That way I find it doesn't really fail. So one will do this Molotov and one will do Molotov here. And you kind of have everything Molotov here. So for the T's it's difficult. If you smoke deep mid as CT every time, the T's can, you know, go out, turn off the other Molotov and run out basically. But then again, if you do the double Molotov take, the reason why CTs don't do this every round is because T's can again do this like edging trick, where if you do this Molotov, you can just stand behind it and kill people here. It's very normal to heavy block the mid rush, because it's one of the easiest things to do on Ancient. This means that even if you have deep mid smoke, whatever, you do Molotov here, typically there will be like 2 mid players that start. Otherwise, it's probably the mid plus rotation player. Like, when I say rotation player, I'm talking about the AWP player. So you will do like both Molotovs, or even if you do smoke, whatever, people basically always double nade here. Some people choose to, you know, with the spawn go out and do like this nade. There are some people as well who do like, you know, they molo, they nade, and then they even throw a flash left side. That way, if someone goes through the whatever and does like an etching trick, or maybe there's a gap behind the molo, whatever, that they're standing there, they will eat this flash and you can kill them for free. The role of a mid player, I guess, a lot to do with blocking early, but it has way more to do with what you do in the mid round. Ancient mid is actually one of the most random areas of any map in Counter-Strike right now. Because as a T, if you want fast control, I talked about it already, the CTs are probably doing either smoke, molo, and double nade, or they do double molo, double nade. So if you want to take fast mid, you always have to turn off a Molotov, and then you have to go out into a double nade just to get a fight. And then, how do you make that ever good as T? Well, you use flashes, and these flashes, it's like, yeah, if they blind the CTs, as a T, you have a pretty decent chance. But if the CTs are dodging at the right timings and turn around on the right timings, then the CTs are going to kill you because you've just been double naded. It comes down really to milliseconds, and it can be incredibly random. So for the mid player, you just basically want to block the mid rush every round. That way, you make sure that you don't die to random bullshit, basically. There is also the option of not contesting mid at the start, like still doing the exact same utility, but then like just as CT jumping donut and playing from donut, starting red room and spamming, or using your nade instead to break open the red room smoke, all these kind of things. There are ways where you can give T's early mid control and definitely still win. What a lot of people in FACEIT choose to do is that, you know, with the smoke and the molo, whatever, if they get deep mid, they have like 2 rifles playing around here. One is holding the smoke, the other guy is climbing heaven and will start to peek towards B. You have 2 really important jobs, which are 1, give information if T's can be in red room. So if the T's can cross this angle, you need to tell your team that T's can now go into red room. Super important. And your other responsibility is kind of blocking donut. You're almost like a donut player. One of the safest and best ways to do this is if you take out smoke, you can jiggle and hit your shoulder on this wall. It opens up just a slight gap here where you can get information. And because of the wall, you can't really fuck up your movement to the point where people used to do it like this. And sometimes you could like hold down D a little bit too long. You would get like a long outswing, whatever. And it could get you killed. So you just jiggle this, and when you get contact, you just smoke off donut. Then you say, now they can be red room. Like the AWP and the A player is kind of less important to talk about, also because there isn't that much you can do. As an AWP player and rotation player, this is the role I'm playing the most in FACEIT. Obviously, you can start B. If they B rush, it can be really good to play here, or even play here. If they turn off the Molotov and they smoke it, you can kill the first. You can also start over here. It's kind of the same thing. They will probably run in this lane. It can be good to start here as well with AWP if you know the other guys, like your opponents like to play AWP on T side, because if they boost on the box, you can crouch and just hold only that. You can also do this like smoke trick I showed you in the corner, underhand and hold if they do brother model. You can also play AWP here. You can also, if they don't do brother model, you can just come here and peek. Most important thing that I probably do as rotation player is that I will be doing the smoke if I don't need my spawn. It can be good for the AWP, like the rotation player, sometimes to start A. If you would never play AWP on A, contacting A would be so good for the T's, because it's AK fights versus rifle who's holding. In CS2, that's a recipe for disaster. That's why it's good in Team CS especially to have the AWP sometimes start on A, because that's the counter to A contact. If people contact against an AWP, the AWP kills them for free and can probably multi-kill. There are many rounds where teams just don't go A at all on Ancient. A lot of teams, and also in Facets, will have people start with 3 mid, so that you have a bigger likelihood of winning the mid fight. And then the A player, or whoever is close to A, can just rotate over to Donut and kind of pick up A. If you keep losing the mid fight as a T, and it feels like there's 3 here, maybe it's worth rushing A next round. One of the things I quite like doing, if we feel like we are losing mid control in the early rounds, sometimes I like to start with AWP in Donut. The reason is, if you hold your crosshair down here, if someone peeks you, you know, you have a good chance of killing them. And if they peek you from up here, as you can see, the shadow will be showing before the player is showing. So as AWP, even if you're holding your crosshair down here, the shadow will be visible and you can actually adjust before the player peeks you and then kill them. It's kind of like an upgraded version of jiggling with the smoke, because you're still getting the same information, you're still blocking Donut the same, except people who try to walk towards Red Room will actually probably die, or you at least have the chance to kill them. Or if you have good movement, let's hope I do today, you can go and peek heaven like this. As rotation player, makes a lot of sense for you to be the person smoking mid every time, unless you have somewhere you want to go. One thing I think is quite important, if you are anywhere Red Room, or if you are anywhere close to A, or if you started Donut, whatever, and T's now go B, these flashes are so insanely important for your B players. They don't seem that great, but they are actually amazing. One of the best flashes in the game, in my opinion. Like, even though they only like blink, the further they get up, the more blind they get. And by flashing up here, you make it so your teammates can never get blind. That's one of the most important things, I think, as a rotation. As rotation, when you come over, you can go in this corner, you can aim here, you can run. Last moment, you jump throw. This one looks extremely cool, but the T's can block it. If you are rotating over to A, whatever, it can be good to throw flashes over side for your A player. Or if they're playing big box, it can be sometimes good to flash like in front of big box. As long as you let them know, so that they can, like, you know, take a fight, hide, flash comes, they can peek again. Last time we spoke about how to play A, I don't remember what I said, and I haven't rewatched the video, but I would imagine that I was talking about, like, oh, you can play, like, off angle here, you can play side, or you can play up on boost, like, you can jump up yourself by jumping up on this sign, and jumping up here, stuff like this. The current meta of A player is basically, you don't have an A player in Pro CS. The A player is starting mid more than they are starting A. When you get mid control, run back to Donut. If the T's are rushing, you can hear their footsteps from Donut. You can come out here and you can kind of fight them. Something cool, because a lot of T's will smoke this and will try to plant on this corner. Something you can do is you can go here, you can line up like this, you can move over without moving your mouse, you can jump up here, you can shoot. You can see the T would be planning here in the corner, and I would be spamming this. So as the A player, you can do a lot even if you're not A and they rush A. A players traditionally don't really start A, at least in the current meta. What if the T's actually do A contact instead of rushing? Maybe they, you know, peek the A player in a good way from Donut, they win a duel, and now they can plan kind of where they want. Well, the way they balance that to not make it predictable and not make it so people just A contact every round with like fake in mid and fake on B. Let's say half the buy rounds where the CTs have AWP, the AWP player is starting on A, and it's simply just to free up the mid players to focus on mid, and also make it so that if someone tries to get information or take a timing on A, they will just die. A few levels deeper, obviously at the professional level, teams are doing what's called anti-strat. If I am doing anti-strat / preparation and I see the AWP is never starting on A, I would call let's go A contact a lot. I know that we can go and either trade it out, or like if I know the A player is playing, let's say, either tempo, big box or side, maybe we just A contact up to here, we flash tempo at the same time we do mono here, and then we just run basically. Then the A player is probably maximum going 1 for 1. That's why having the AWP starting on A sometimes is a really key part of the current meta puzzle of Ancient. We will always see meta shifts on individual positions, but the overall idea of having the orb starting A sometimes and stuff like that, I don't think we will see shifting until the map gets a change. Hard to predict how the future looks, but I think this video will be good for probably all of 2025.